The polar bear is the largest land predator of our time among all mammals. On its hind legs, this monster can rise more than 10 feet above the ground, 3 meters. And some males, according to unconfirmed reports, can reach a mass of about a ton. If the prey has fallen into the clutches of a polar bear, it has almost no chance. Huge pinnipeds, which are capable of destroying cars, panic at the sight of this predator. For him to attack a herd of sea elephants is like going to the supermarket for you. The polar bear is not afraid of the cold. It's the cold that's afraid of the polar bear. But it turns out that loyalty to your master can work real miracles. This dog is big and strong, but for a polar bear, he is like a bicycle to a truck. A larger predator can simply trample such an opponent. But what is it? The dog found the bear's only weak spot and clung there. It turns out that the nose of a predatory giant is a very sensitive place. It is not covered by either a thick layer of adipose tissue or fur. Therefore, when the dog clung to it with his fangs, it stopped even such a huge thing. That's when the bear underestimated his enemy and messed with the wrong guy. You can't blame him either. Who would have expected such cool combat data from a dog? This is an extra-class fighter. Self-confidence, concentration, and skill are the 3 pillars on which the successful tactics of any fighter rests. Look at these rodents. It turns out they're like hobbits. Well-fed and pleasant at first glance, but formidable fighters if necessary. Their endurance can only be envied. Look at this epic confrontation with the lynx. It seems that in front of you is an ancient warrior with the bearing of a real officer. Pay attention to this aristocrat's posture. It's so cold and contemptuous to look into the face of danger when you are attacked by a whole pack of dogs. That's endurance. But it turns out that this is not the desperate calm of a creature that is ready for its end. It's part of the real battle tactics. The dogs underestimated the enemy. It turned out that the baby spread his paws and puffed out his chest in such a way that he reacted with lightning speed to any attempts to throw himself off balance. As soon as the dogs turn from intimidation to active actions and pounce on the baby, the rodent does not give up, but goes on a counterattack. No one expected such fury from him. These dogs clearly underestimated the enemy, who turned out to be a real warrior. Just look at how desperately he fights back. And at the same time, the baby acts prudently and effectively. But as for his size, the dog is like a huge wolf from that movie about Thor, remember? How would you react to the approach of such a monster? This beautiful chase looks incredibly epic. The hare is faster than wolves, but they also have great speed. And they are trying to drive the victim. Wolves are able to act amazingly smoothly. The hare thinks that he has almost escaped from the trap, but falls almost into the mouth of a predator. Only incredible maneuverability allows the hare to slip almost out of the predator's fangs. If the wolves were saved, then what is a lynx? A lone predator capable of. It turns out that the hare underestimated the opponents and paid for it. He didn't know that the pads of lynx paws work like snowshoes. Thanks to this advantage, the cat managed to catch up with the victim. About 60 years ago, people were a little surprised by a photo in which the artist Salvador Dalí was walking a tame anteater. But now we know. It was not a quirk of a creative personality, but a subtle calculation. Because one anteater is worth 3 Dobermans in battle. Surprisingly, these clumsy at first glance animals are real bullies who are only happy to fight for any reason. If this is the first time you've heard about it, well, for many other animals, this is also a surprise and a very unpleasant one. It is obvious from the name of the animal that the anteater feeds on ants and termites, that is, insects that live in large colonies and build huge nests. This is what his elongated head with an incredibly long sticky tongue is adapted for. But many people overlook the fact that getting involved with ants is in itself a task for someone with very strong nerves. Have you ever fallen on an anthill and felt dozens of painful bites in the most sensitive places? Well, for an anteater, this is an ordinary Tuesday. But the main thing is that in order to dig underground colonies, these animals have incredibly strong and large clawed paws. Of course, the excavator is a construction equipment. But can you imagine what would happen if an ordinary moped crashed into him? Then you can imagine what will happen to some medium-sized predator if an anteater's paw crashes into it. Here, the dogs do not behave very decisively, as they see the anteater for the first time. But even a small individual is able to scare off a large dog with its iron character and strange stance. Do you think the kid was lucky? No, the dog was lucky to retreat in time. Here, everything turned out differently. A jaguar, one of the largest predators on the planet, capable of hunting caimans and anacondas, lay quietly in the thickets. But the anteater doesn't care. He's in the mood to punch someone in the face. The jaguar is coming. The cat clearly underestimated the threat and did not immediately realize that it was best to run and climb a tree somewhere. Therefore, the anteater gets a great chance to come up to a close distance and hit the jaguar several times so that the cat is simply shocked by these cuffs. Finally, the jaguar tries to counterattack. He pounces on the anteater and knocks him to the ground. But for this animal, such a blow is like a friendly hug. It seems that this strange animal enjoys such a warm-up. In the end, the jaguar simply has no chance but to run far away. The anteater has a very strong hide and jet fur that works like dynamic armor. But his main weapon is a special combat tactic. The anteater can strike single blows with its huge claws if it wants to attack. But he defends himself. He rises on his hind legs. Then the tail of some species can serve as a balancer. In this stable position, the anteater can stand for a very long time. And most importantly, it is able to spin around its axis, so it is almost impossible for at least one enemy to approach it from behind. And from this rack, he delivers a crushing blow with his claws. The anteater's claws are combined into one huge stable blade. The animal strikes in a wide arc, using a swing that enhances the already enormous power of claws accustomed to digging. In the Middle Ages, plate armor began to be made to protect against enemy swords. In a direct blow, more than one blade could not penetrate it. Then the knights began to use powerful war hammers, which on the one hand had a shock part, and on the other, a spike. This thorn opened the enemy's shell like a tin can. So the anteater's blows work about the same way, like a medieval spiked hammer. At the same time, the animal does not strike single blows, but beats fast boxing series. And even that's not all. An anteater can grab an enemy, hook it with its claws, hold it up, and bend it under itself. After that, he will begin to trample and tear it with his claws, while the victim is defenseless under its weight. Perhaps this funny scene is an example of what an error in the evaluation of the opponent means. Some birds are so cool that even the bars for them are not a hindrance. As they say, a truly free person remains so even locked up. That's how this predator is. He was having a quiet lunch when a passing bird decided that he could take away his threat and nothing would happen to her for it. Mistake. The predator blocks the victim's head with the lightning movement. The thief will definitely remember this lesson. Koalas give the impression of cute and lively plush toys with the same gentle character. Well, this individual is clearly not like that. She cruelly throws off a relative from a tree who somehow did not please her. The crying of an offended koala is heartbreaking. Well, let this be a lesson. Do not judge a koala by stereotypes, like a book by its cover. In general, it is impossible for stereotypes about animals to make you forget about vigilance. This chicken thought that the giant above her was a good-natured vegetarian, a stereotypical mistake. For some strange reason, this particular horse suddenly wanted to eat chicken, and she started literally vacuuming the ground in search of chickens. The chicken is in shock. He just doesn't know what to do. She is not able to protect the young from this giant, and she will not be able to collect and evacuate the chickens in time because they are too scattered. As a result, the horse has diversified its menu quite well. Which case, when the animals made a mistake in choosing an opponent, struck you the most? Share your opinion in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe. We have a lot of unusual things that we would love to show you. When a falcon attacked a chicken, it encountered an unpleasant surprise. The ordinary domestic bird not only resisted, but literally trampled the aggressor into the mud. Now we'll show you other amazing and even comical instances in which birds surprised with unexpected strength and bravery, eliciting genuine shock from predators. Though small, the otter is quite a formidable predator. This animal possesses such agility as if it can transition from a solid to a liquid state on its own. Yet, one should not underestimate the strength and sharpness of its teeth. An otter can handle the shell of a small crab, making it relatively easy for it to reach a bird's throat. This otter attacked a bird 3 times its size. The duck is in shock, as a waterfowl being attempted to drown. The otter persists. It has subdued its prey, almost triumphing. However, as the little predator dragged the catch to the shore, it turned out that it had underestimated the duck. The clever bird realized it was inferior in strength and decided to outsmart its adversary. It feigned defeat, only to escape the grip at the last moment and disappear. A relatively large eagle landed near a chicken to feast on chicks. This sizable predator hunts rats, rabbits, and ducks. Thinking it could easily drive away the hen and enjoy a snack before a proper hunt, the eagle was really in for a surprise. The chicken instantly attacked the aggressor. The eagle was shocked. The chicken chased it down like a wolf chasing jackals. Chicken wings aren't suitable for extended flight, but they provide excellent acceleration. Pecking at the eagle's head, eyes, and other vulnerable points, the chicken showcased not only remarkable bravery but an unexpected force. Such courage dedicated to protecting offspring is worthy of your like, isn't it? Chickens were domesticated in Southeast Asia around 8,000 to 10,000 years ago. Over time, people got used to perceiving them as the most ordinary, harmless domestic birds. However, witnessing what this small feathered berserker is capable of creates the impression that ancient humans domesticated chickens not for eggs or meat, but for the birds to defend themselves against saber-toothed tigers. In extreme situations, it turns out that these birds inherited the rage and strength of distant ancestors, the predatory dinosaurs. Don't believe it? How about this battle of the century? Since eagles, unlike miniature falcons, are heavyweights bird-wise, defeating them proved pretty challenging. The eagle was not opposed to a prolonged confrontation. Several times it soared up only to repeat the attack. And guess what? Every time the chicken willingly entered the fray, showing no signs of fatigue. When the chicken deployed its claws, the eagle regretted tangling with its adversary. One-on-one, a chicken can literally trample an eagle of the same size, or drive away even a larger one. The predatory bird either had to go into deep defense, lying on the ground, spreading its wings and extending its clawed legs forward, or just retreat. Otherwise, the situation could turn into a real disaster for these noble rulers of the feathered realm. the chicken could literally corner the eagle. It seems like the bird is taunting the opponent, which nervously opens its beak. The eagle stumbled upon the wrong adversary, and a seemingly easy hunt turned into the most dangerous and humiliating episode of its life. Imagine this scene with some gangster movie dialogue. You stepped into the wrong neighborhood. What are your thoughts? We're waiting for you in the comments. Size matters in a fight between animals. Take an elephant, for example. It can bury a buffalo up to its neck, scatter an entire lion pride, and knock down a 4-ton rhino like a wet rag. Yet, determination and bravery sometimes surpass size. The elephant could snap the spine of this crane as easily as you would a thin twig. However, the most massive terrestrial mammal yielded to the resolution of this bird. The elephant seems bewildered, not comprehending what is happening, but it turns out it merely approached the bird's nesting site too closely. Perhaps you've wondered why some birds build nests not on treetops, but directly on the ground. Because they are so cool that they can even drive away an elephant if necessary. Actually, domestic cats freely roaming outside are considered super predators. Don't believe it? The key is that for each attempt to catch prey, they have more instances of successful hunting than wild lions. It makes you look at your house cat with different eyes, doesn't it? So, it's not surprising that among urban fauna, cats consider themselves the coolest. However, the crow disagrees. Apparently, it fancied itself the sheriff, and when two cats got into a fight, the bird decided to stop the chaos in the most old-fashioned way possible, by intervening and forcing both opponents to disperse. One crow attacked two cats right in the midst of their skirmish, even though the fluffy fighters had an obvious advantage on the ground. But they picked the wrong feathery opponent. The crow's sturdy beak and excellent reflexes cooled down the cats, prompting them to seek another place for their dispute. Warning, if you have claustrophobia, this epic incident might trigger real panic. The main advantage of birds is the maneuverability granted by their wings. But what to do when the enemy invades a tight nest? With a chick behind her, the only answer for this hawk is to fight. The snake fully realizes its advantage. In this narrow passage, it can force a close quarter combat. The reptile is large enough to swallow even an adult bird. The owl tries to spread its wings and puff up its feathers to appear larger and deter the predator. However, the determined snake is too hungry. The scared chick behind the owl looks too appetizing to the cold-blooded reptile. But the snake underestimated the power with which the bird would fight for its offspring. The battle was incredibly intense. The snake lunged at its opponent, managing to sink its fangs into the owl and then entwine it with its coils to constrict, suffocate, and finally defeat the owl, attacking the defenseless chick afterwards. But the snake miscalculated the striking location. If it had bitten the owl's legs, it could have injected its venom easily. However, the reptile aimed for a denser part of the body, as it was an easier target. And this was a big mistake. The snake didn't know that owls are actually slender birds, and a significant portion of the body volume is dense plumage. The snake's fangs got entangled in it. The chick's distressed squeak behind the owl increased the owl's strength tenfold. It managed to shake off the powerful snake, transitioning to a determined counterattack. The sharp, sickle-shaped talons knew their job well, even though wielding such weapons in tight spaces was quite challenging. But the stubborn desire to protect the lone chick did its job. The owl successfully dealt with the snake, saving its family. Look at her in shock after the duel. Someone, get that stressed owl some water. No wonder the bald eagle is one of America's symbols. Even among other birds of prey, this beauty truly has a steely character. It's hard to find another bird that loves to fight as much as these predators right here. When you watch them, it feels like you're witnessing a Western movie. Here's a group quietly having lunch in a saloon when suddenly a troublemaker appears and a fight breaks out of nowhere. However, the aggressor underestimated its opponent. It thought that it was the baddest eagle around. A big mistake. Its unexpected strike was not only noticed, but also successfully countered. This duel looks impressive. Instead of simply dodging the dangerous blow, the attacked eagle extended its talons right toward the opponent. Did the eagle know how it would end? Probably, and Dib was just happy about it. The inertia literally knocked the eagle off its feet, and both birds flew off to continue their brawl. They fought fiercely with their claws, and the bird that initiated the fight clearly didn't expect to face such a tough opponent. The attacked eagle decided to show that messing around with it is not a good idea. It skillfully used the opponent's fall and counterattacked it from above. With all its weight, the eagle crashed into the aggressor and threw it into the icy water. The powerful talons pierced the back of the insolent eagle. At that moment, it surely regretted trying to snatch the prey away from our hero. The depth here was too shallow for the eagles to be in real danger. Still, getting wet in cold weather is a very unpleasant prospect. More to it, eagle wings and especially the flight feathers are vulnerable to water. If they get wet, the bird can't take off until they dry. Well, it learned its life lesson. Don't mess without reason with someone armed with a whole set of curved talons.